Today I'm in the kitchen. We don't know if Jesus knew how to cook or to bake, but he certainly knew how to eat. And eating with someone was to share a blessing. Today's stories can easily find a home here in a kitchen. The first is a mustard seed that becomes a tree of faith. It's also a flavor that enhances other things. The biblical mustard tree had leaves that were eaten. We likely know a different plant, one that grows in fields of yellow, bringing the prairies to glorious color. The flavoring idea is the same though. Mustard is used to bring something else to greater fullness. Mustard in a salad dressing, mustard on a sandwich, mustard on something roasting in an oven. Yeast, the second story, mixed with flour and water adds the leaven that makes the bread. Bread is flat without yeast. The yeast needs the flour and the water to come to life. And once it is alive, it grows and grows and changes all that it touches. Once the yeast is mixed in, it is everywhere. Anyone who has accidentally added the incorrect amount of a leaven like yeast or baking powder know that once it's in the bowl, it cannot be taken out. The other parables in today's lesson are about worth, treasure hidden in a field, a pearl of great value. I wonder why Jesus added those. Jesus rarely spoke of things of monetary value as if they had worth. Jesus was all about the people. He was all about God. Jesus was all about justice. He was all about love, and he was all about faith. Perhaps it is an invitation for us to reflect on what is of real value in our lives. Do we value what we have more than we value those around us? Or is it the other way around? Do you remember the joke about the rich person who begged St. Peter to be allowed to bring treasure to heaven? Eventually, St. Peter agrees, and the person arrives at the pearly gates with a suitcase. St. Peter opens the suitcase and looks inside and sees that it's completely full of gold bars, bricks of gold. And St. Peter turns and says, "Paving stones? You brought paving stones?" Perhaps these four stories come together in an invitation to think about God. God's love is here and now and adds flavor and value to everything we know, and it can't be taken away from any of it. God's love also needs us to share our love, though. In God's Dream, Desmond Tutu wrote, "Each of us carries a piece of God's heart within us, and when we love one another, the pieces of God's heart are made whole." We are reminded that the realm of heaven, the kingdom, whatever word you use, is about God's grace and love that's so pervasive and so expansive that nothing will ever separate us from that love or that grace. May these stories enable us to live and to share the kingdom of heaven where justice flows like a river and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream, where Black lives matter, where we remember our place as treaty people, where no one hungers or thirsts, where we can do what the prophet Micah says is required of us, where we do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with our God. Thanks be to God this day and always. Amen.